Let's get more perspective now from two experts, Roya Nikkah, a royal correspondent for the Sunday Times, and Daisy McAndrew, a royal commentator and journalist. Good morning, both of you. Daisy, let's start with you. This was a carefully worded four-sentence statement. Did that statement kind of put a pin in the tension?
Well, that's certainly what the intention will have been, as you said, to put a pin in the tension, to defuse that bomb that the interview had set off, or series of bombshells, I think it's been described as. And there are many things, even though, as Keir said, it's only a couple of sentences, there are many things to unpick in it, particularly this phrase that recollections differ. In other words, insinuating that their memory of that particularly incendiary and insulting conversation about the colour of Archie's skin might be one thing, but perhaps the person who said its memory of that conversation is another, or even that they don't remember it at all. And of course, the problem with all of this is we don't know who they're accusing. We don't know who's standing in the dock. So it's very difficult to have a public trial, as Keir was saying, when you don't know who it is that you're accusing of racism. So there are all those issues. Equally, the word of we will deal with this privately. That's clearly what Buckingham Palace, what the Queen wants to do. Some would say that's brushing it under the carpet in a very British way, and others would much rather see it be brought out into the light and really given a good shake. Public reaction here does differ, particularly depending on the age of who you ask. Younger generations very much in Team Meghan, Team Harry. Older generation, not so much.
Well, let me turn to Roya here. How did this statement go over with the British public, to pick up on that point? And did it seem to you that the Queen was hoping this would be the end of the matter as far as this public back and forth? I mean, you're not going to see, I guess, Will and Kate sit down with Oprah or anybody else. Is she just hoping this thing is now going to go behind closed doors?
Well, I think that the statement has gone down with the public here. The British public are, I suppose, pretty finely attuned a lot of the time to how the royal family goes about its business. And the feeling very much from the Queen and other members of the royal family who were very closely involved with her in wording that statement is that Harry and Meghan have chosen to air these issues publicly in a huge interview with Oprah. The Queen and other members of the royal family take those issues that were raised very seriously, but because it's, complaints and issues raised among family members, her view is this should be dealt with in the family. And I think the Queen's view has always been, over a nearly 70-year reign now, that she will always try to not air the family laundry in public. And I think that statement showed that while she does not underestimate the seriousness of the claims and the allegations and the issues that need to be looked at, she wants to do that privately, family member to family member.
All right. That will actually happen. Roya and Daisy, thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Find your favorite recipes, celebrity interviews, uplifting stories, shop our favorite deals, and so much more with the Today app. Download it now.